2020. In reality, this is when COVID hit, and it's kind of funny because the dandelion almost looks like the COVID virus. Maybe I just like predicted it without predicting it. Welcome to our first couch session of 2021. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Jules, aka Jules and Pearls. Pearls because it's my birthstone, because I made it my Instagram name probably back in high school. I thought it was really clever because Jules is like a jewel. Jules and Pearls, it just made sense in my head. Anyway, welcome, I'm so glad you're here. Today, I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite hobbies and one that I've been doing for 2,746 and a half days. Let me actually make sure that's right because I think we're on day one. Oh, it's been more than that. Hey Siri, what's 2,556.7 plus 199? Okay, so I have officially been journaling every single day since January 1st of 2014, but in total, 2,746.7 days. Well, I guess it's not 0.7 because I have not written today's entry, so it doesn't count. It's really, I'm very surprised that I have not quit. But now it's just so much a part of my routine in my daily life. It's basically like brushing my teeth every single day or getting dressed. Like I feel naked if I go to sleep and I don't journal. I will start by letting you guys know what type of journal it is because I'm very specific about my journals. I like that they are all uniform, however each one is unique to the year, and we'll get to that later. But I get all of my journals from Barnes & Noble. Most of them are genuine leather from Italy. Oh, this one was made in India, exclusive for Barnes & Noble. Okay, so I guess like in India or Italy. Maybe they're all Indian, I'm crazy. This one is actually my 2022 journal. Usually when I go to Barnes & Noble at the end of, at the end of the year, everyone's buying journals, right? So it's like my fault for trying to get one in December when everyone journals, or a lot of people like to start journaling in January. I was in Barnes & Noble the other day, I found this one, and I always have to feel some sort of like connection to the journal that I'm using. So for 2022, this one was full of flowers. I think that's going to be a year that I really blossom. Okay, I'm hopeful. The pages are also gold. I think that that is really beautiful too. I actually didn't notice that until now, so like that's just a bonus. The amount of pages this one has is 160, so this one's a little bit smaller than the ones I usually get. Most of them, that's upside down. This one had over 220. This was my very first one. I usually don't use all the pages anyway, so I just kind of go for it. Okay, so maybe this is going to be the year that my life just takes off and I'm so crazy busy and I'm blossoming in whatever that I don't really have time to write as much. Who knows? This one is for 2022, so I'm just prepared ahead of time. I keep it in the plastic because I think it makes it more fun to open it when the time comes, and it's like a Christmas present to myself. I also only use this type of pen. This is the Zebra pen. You can find them at Target or Walmart or wherever. Honestly, sometimes they sell out a lot, but I personally like how thin it is and it makes my writing look very nice. I went through a small period when I tried to change pens, and I think that was really not a great idea. I always use this type of pen. It's my favorite. It's Zebra pen. It's great. So this was 2014. This was my very first journal, and it was actually given as a gift to me. Did I say 14? I think I might have said 15. This is 2014. This was my first journal that was gifted to me, so I wanted to start journaling in it, and I wanted to prove that I could use it the whole year, and I also think it was a little bit more special to me that it was a gift, so I almost felt like I owed that person the fact that I would actually use it. Because he's my boyfriend, so I liked him, so I obviously wanted to still use it, but really, it came in handy for me all these years later, so. When I first started journaling, I was also inspired to have a word of the year, just something that I could live the year by and see if it made sense to me, and kind of incorporate it in my journals, although I did forget a few years, or at least didn't write it down on the first page. In 2014, I didn't really have an official word that I had written down. The only thing that I could really find was unsteady, And considering I was like all over the place in a relationship with my romantic partner as well as my friends, it was very unsteady. Yeah, unsteady. So that was 2014. 2015, I said my word would be lost, but I said I didn't want it to be in a sad way. Instead, that was the year that I was graduating high school, so I'd be like losing that. I'd be losing a lot of friends. Through that loss, I'd be gaining a lot. So I guess my like teenage mind just took it to the more dramatic word. I could have said the word of the year was gain, but I felt like I was losing a lot more, and what I was to gain was like kind of unexpected. For 2016, literally don't know. 2017, literally don't know. 2018, still don't know. 2019, finally, I had a word of the year. 2019, my word was light. I wanted it to be in terms of how I lived my life. I wanted to be a little bit more minimalistic. I wanted to chase the light. I wanted to be the light. I was starting to drink a lot more of the yogi tea, and one of my favorite sayings was live light, travel light, spread the light, be the light. So I think that that was really inspiring to me. So that was my word of the year for 2019. And then 2020, I said my word of the year would be compassion, which I think was kind of interesting too because of everything that happened in 2020. I think it was the year that the whole world had to become more compassionate. So I thought that was a really perfect word of the year for that year as well. And now 2021, I do remember. I picked 4. Maybe it's because I forgot 2016, 17, and 18, so it kind of makes sense that I'm redoing those in my brain. Although I do feel like I had word of the years those years. But for 2021, my main word of the year was gratitude. So I just find myself reminding myself of my word of the year often. I think whenever something bad happens, I remind myself of what I'm grateful for, as well as whenever something good happens. Obviously, I'm going to be grateful for the good things that happen as well. So that's my main word of the year, but then I also decided that I would do gratitude as my number 1, alignment, breakthrough, and power. Those are just words that kind of stuck out to me at the beginning of the year and how I kind of wanted to proceed with the rest of my year. So that's my thing on words of the year. I think it's just kind of like my mantra of the year, so I just take it with me from the beginning of the year to the end, and it's always fun to kind of look back and see if my word of the year was like in alignment with everything that happened or if I was like totally off, which I guess I'm totally off for the ones that I didn't even have a word of the year for. Now I will officially do it on the first day, and I will recap my last year's word of the year because trying to look through all those was a pain in my booty. Apparently I just don't write my words of the year. Let's move on. The first 4 years that I started journaling, all my journals were gifts. So that was another thing that kind of helped me stick to it. I thought that that was really special. The first one was from one of my first boyfriends. Second one was from my best friend. The third one was from my mom. And then the fourth one was from my then boyfriend, now husband, Rob. So those were all the gifts that were gifted to me, and I was very specific on telling them where to get these journals, and they did a lovely job. I loved each one of them. I feel like all of those are kind of symbolic of where I was in my life at that time. So then when I started choosing my own journals, I really had to feel a connection with it. 2018, I chose like the mandala kind of print. And that's because this is the year that I feel like I really got in touch with more of like my spirituality side, which I've always been very spiritual, but this time I feel like it was really kicked into high gear, I guess. I started to learn a lot more about like what was necessary for me to do in my life, to live my best life. I hate that saying, but that's just what came to mind. I always envisioned that only my grandchildren would read these, but I kind of also don't really want kids, so I don't know if that's gonna happen. And my dogs can't read obs. 2019, I got a very simple looking journal. I felt like 2019 was when I had to really focus on my school. This was the year that I was supposed to graduate, so I didn't want a lot of like, I don't know, it was very cookie cutter, right? It was very, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and this was my 2019. 2020, I got this journal that had 2 dandelions that looked like you were blowing on them. This was the year that Rob and I were supposed to move. We were gonna start to venture out into career paths that would hopefully lead us to long-lasting careers. I felt like this was when we were both graduating, so I thought that that was really symbolic to have those be like a everything's kind of taking off. In reality, this is when COVID hit, and it's kind of funny because the dandelion almost looks like the COVID virus. Maybe I just like predicted it without predicting it. Moving on. 2021, I chose a journal that had writing on it. I thought that was great because I clearly have been writing for a very long time. It stood out to me because the words that were on it just sounded very beautiful. One of the words that I saw was reflection. That was my honorary 5th word of the year, is reflection. One of the poetries that is written on the cover says, "It is of the great facts of the world, like moonlight or springtime, or the reflection in the dark water of the silver shell we call the moon." Ah, love it! So cute! All right, and then I got my 2022. Golly, I cannot believe that. Look at all these. Oh, that's my life. Nobody read it, please. Yet. Maybe when I pass on, okay? It's not gonna be for a while though. We're gonna have a lot more of those. So yeah, those are my journals. 3 things I love about journaling is, 1, if your journal is only for you, you can be totally and completely honest with yourself. And that's something that has really helped me grow and something that I can look back on and learn from. I mean, you learn a lot about yourself when you journal, and when you are able to write out what you're thinking, it also helps you clear your mind a little bit. So I think that's one amazing thing that has come with journaling. The second is you can just see how much you've changed. So obviously, like, I'm not going to be the same person that I was in 2014 or 15 or 16 or whatever. And reading back, it's actually kind of funny to see some of the thoughts I was thinking and how they may be similar or completely different. And just knowing that, like, I'm growing as a human and doing the best I can for myself. And it's really rewarding because there was a time when I was younger that I didn't know how long I was gonna, be on this earth. So to see that I've like made it through the difficult times and I've had the best days and the worst days is something that I find really powerful. Also, it's made me realize that hindsight is not 2020 because our memory is ass, okay? Humans' memories are not good, right? So I feel like in hindsight, you're like, oh, hindsight was 2020, but then I look back and I'm like, wow, I didn't remember that the same way that I thought I did. And then there were also things that I forget or I block out that I go back to and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. Like that, I guess, hindsight, if written down and recorded and documented properly, is 2020. Think about that. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Oh, last but not least, one of my most favorite things to do is to write myself future notes in my journal. So sometimes I feel like I want to get in touch with my psychic side and write myself notes in the future, and then once I get to those notes, see if they align with what I'm going through in that moment. So let's just take a little stroll down to, was it 2020? I can't remember. Oh God, now I'm gonna lose it. Okay, I'll write myself little notes like this. Your dreams are coming to life. Oh, that was when I was moving to Denver. And so far living in Denver, I've had a wonderful experience. I think that doors have opened up for me that I did not expect. And I think that writing that future note for myself in the past was great because it was true. I also wrote a note to myself that my dad used to always say to me, and my dad had passed away in 2009. He would always say, when we were talking on the phone, before he would say goodbye, he would say, "I love you bunches and bunches." So I wrote a future note to myself channeling him, and it just so happened to be on the last day of the year that I got to that note in this journal. So that was really special to me too. So if you want a sign, or if you're thinking about a journal and you want to start journaling, just do it. Go to Barnes & Noble, or go online to barnesandnoble.com. They're not sponsoring this, by the way, but maybe one day they will. And you can pick up a journal. I suggest around 200 pages because that has been what mine has kind of averaged out to. And also, I want to say that like I don't write pages and pages all the time. Sometimes I'll write 2 or 3 pages, and that's usually the maximum I'll write for a day. And then there will be other days that I'm like, you know what, I don't want to do this at all. See you tomorrow. If you start journaling, let me know how it goes. If you pick, or if you have a word of the year and you want to share it, I would love to hear what other people think about that, or if they have any words of the years, I'd love to know what you guys do. I think that's the end. So thank you for hanging out with me. Love you guys lots, and I will see you all next time. Bye!